headline reads, economic strain, inflation surges above 30% in Abuja and 10 states. Food inflation hits 51.8% in Benue amid persistent insecurity. OPS lamenting rising prices. What?
Yeah.
Did you see that? Food inflation is 51.8% in Benue. Benue, the food basket of the nation.
So imagine the implications. And statistically, most Nigerian households spend their income on food. So these has ripple effects on the lives of ordinary Nigerians. That's a huge number, and it's going to trickle down to other states. So we really need to deal with insecurity in Benue State so that these farmers can go to their farms.
No, this is not good at all.
It's really not good. Around December, we saw a drop in the price of food, but this has reversed all the gains that we had in the past, and hopefully the government will be able to do something lasting and holistic about the insecurity in the Benue.
Okay, anyway, we can see here Nigerian Air Force. There's a picture of the Nigerian Air Force during an open day to the public as part of the activities marking the 61st anniversary of NAF at 631 Aircraft Maintenance Depot, Ikeja, Lagos. If you remember, some days ago, those on the island in the Lekki axis, it was as if the planes were flying up and down. I had to tweet that. Are we safe? What's going on? Why am I hearing this much planes, flying over? But yeah, they're celebrating their Army Day. But I mean, there are more stories to look at.
Yes, the Nigerian Air Force Day, 65th anniversary. And I'm telling you, the Nigerian Air Force is one of the pride of the nation. In the last few years, they've been able to add to their inventory, and they have a very sophisticated, highly trained Air Force. So kudos to them. We celebrate them, and it would be great to look at the achievements. We can invite them, a representative spokesperson, to join us and talk about it. But there's still more stories on the front page of the Punch. Still on the front page of the Punch newspapers, parents fear WAEC UTME overlap as receipt begins today. We discussed this earlier with our guest. Tinubu to join world leaders at Pope's inauguration. That means Mr. President is traveling again, and I'm sure from there he will head to London for the ministerial, for the 2 years assessment of his administration and achievement. So another foreign trip.
It's so nice.
Yes, on the cards. Service chiefs tour military bases after terror attacks. APC films as Atiku names parties in anti-Tinubu coalition. I mean, why is the APC angry? I mean, he's just naming the parties that are in anti-Tinubu. This is a democracy.
No, APC, maybe they are just taking it out of context, because APC right now, they are the happening party, they are the social
National Assembly divided as compulsory voting bill advances. We did have a conversation about this, and I heard that part where the deputy Senate president said ayes or nails, and it was a mixture, but maybe due to what he wanted, he said the ayes have it. So we really need to look at x-ray the National Assembly and this their voice voting method. I believe it's outdated, and you should also have the electronic voting system that registers how a representative or senator votes, so your constituents can hold you accountable because you're representing them. If they don't want this sort of things, you don't have the right to vote in a certain way. So it deepens our democracy, and it's more transparent.
All right, still looking at the front page of the Punch newspaper. Parents fear WAEC and UTME overlap as receipt begins today. We've been following up with this JAMB story, and remember that that was part of the concern that was expressed by a number of parents, because they're saying, look, if JAMB is saying they're taking responsibility and that there's a receipt happening this weekend, then what is the fate of the students who unfortunately, have had to deal with the emotional turmoil that came with the poor result announcements, and now they have to write exams. So here JAMB, WAEC has practicals as well. So how do they find...
Look at that Lasiek story. That's Lagos State Independent Electoral Commission. They're writing to INEC over 3 LP factions in Lagos. Maybe there are candidates from the Aburi faction, and Adi Usman and Lamidi Ababa faction. So, I mean, INEC, I wonder how INEC is going to reply. Maybe they'll use Omawumi's famous song to respond to last year.
All right, I think we have one more story on the front page of the Punch before we move on. It says 5 arrested over 2-week-old babies sale. This is so sad. Trafficking of persons is still a problem and a challenge that we're dealing with in the country, and I mean it's a problem around the world.
But buyers and sellers, how do they even connect?
It's higher levels of poverty, higher levels of depravity that lead to things. So there's the poverty argument, but then there's also the greed.
For the person who wants, I mean, you just showing up to work with
they're selling the babies for several reasons. So the reasons why they will sell the babies would of course be for those, there are certain people who don't have children but are looking for illegal means to have children. There are other situations where people groom these children. I mean, you've heard of baby factory. I don't know if you've seen baby factory.
I mean, they have neighbors, they have family members. How do you show up with a baby without being previously pregnant?
Well, you can lie that you adopted the baby. You can lie that, you have a family member who had the baby and died at birth. People come up with different reasons. And there's also the traditional reason.
They pillow in their stomach.
There's also the fetish reason, right? Where people would use these babies, unfortunately, for sacrifice. We're still in 2025 where people believe you can take human parts and use it to do sacrifice for wealth and the things like that, which is very, very unfortunate.
Very
but let's now move on to the Nigerian Tribune. And on the front page, the big story, UTME reps to probe poor performance to provide allocation for construction of CBT centers in 774 local government areas in 2026 budget. Advises board to release results of under 16 candidates. And still on the front page, Odua's investment company posts 82 billion naira comprehensive revenue, declares 518 million naira dividend. Oyo government to deliver circular road 2027. Court convicts 10 Thai sailors. Ship slams $4.3 million fine over 32.9 kilogram of cocaine trafficking.
That's a huge amount.
I believe these people are from Thailand.
Yes.
This is the same Thailand where if they try this in their country,
death penalty.
Death penalty. I remember when I was going to Thailand and everybody was saying, you have to be extra careful with your bags. They're not even going to hear that, somebody planted it in my bag. Because I was going to Thailand, I bought those boxes that you use numbers to lock. So that I don't know, I didn't, like, they don't even have zips. Like, you literally have to break my box. And if my box comes to me broken, then I know somebody has tampered with it and I can raise an alarm. That's how scared I was of carrying a box, to Thailand and hoping that somebody doesn't slip something into my box. Then they come and try that. Wow, it's really sad.
It's really sad. There's another headline here, and I like how it's framed. From the Nigerian Bureau of Statistics. Nigeria's inflation eases to 23.71%. 23.71% is still very high, so there's no ease in it from the people feeling the pinch. There's no ease in 23.71%. Reps push for 6 months imprisonment, 100,000 naira fine for non-voting. We covered that earlier. And Bauchi governor insulted my late father, threatened to slap me. Says the foreign minister. That's a serious one.
Very serious one. Still on the front page of the newspapers, we can see here, again, PDP, NPP lose 3 reps to APC. APC National Chairman Ganduje witnesses defection. Ganduje is standing as the witness to this. Of course, he has said over and over again, there's nothing bad in defecting. There's nothing like a one-party state. They are moving there because they see that the party is showing working. So, the APC is the popular kid, the new kid on the block. I think the final story on the front page of the Nigerian Tribune, kidnappers seize ransom bearers in Ondo, demand 30 million naira for APC chair, 2 others released. See how bad it is. They've kidnapped people. These people they've taken the ransom to the kidnappers. And the ransom bearers were now kidnapped.
It's really, really sad. And I really don't know what penalty. But you are against capital punishment. I feel kidnappers should face the capital punishment because it's traumatizing, it's criminal, and then people have lost their lives as a result of this. And you wonder why we haven't been able to do something about this. Every other week there's a story about kidnappings here and there. You believe that the Nigerian police and security forces should be at the top of this, but it seems their priorities are different. I mean, the police is focused right now on tint permits when we still have incidents of kidnappings here and there. It leaves much more to be done.
Just to give you a brief background to the story. So it was the APC Ward 5 chairman of the party in Ose local government area of Ondo State, Nelson Ekujimi. So they kidnapped him and they initially demanded 100 million naira. After negotiation, they came back to asking for 5 million naira and foodstuff. The two ransom bearers took the 5 million naira that these kidnappers demanded and the foodstuffs to them. When they got there, they kidnapped them as well. Now they're asking for 30 million naira. Like how inhumane, how wicked, how despicable is this?
And these monies are not hard to find. Imagine the torture and the stress the family had to go through to raise the initial 5 million. It's really, really, really unfair. And it goes to talk about, it speaks to our value system. We really need a better approach, an overhaul of our morals, and we need to look in the mirror as a society.
Well, these are the things when they talk about Japa. Whilst we are not endorsing Japa, a number of people that are running away are not running away just because the quality of life is subpar. It's because they want to be able to know that they can go home and nobody will appear in front of their house with a gun to kidnap them and ask for ransom. We'll go on a break now. When we come back, we'll still be reviewing more stories from the front pages this morning. Welcome back to Breakfast Central. We're still reviewing the front pages of the papers this morning, and we'll get into our final headlines, and then we'll bring in our guests. Let's look at the Vanguard newspaper. I believe we haven't looked at the Vanguard this morning. On the front page of the Vanguard, we have ways out of banditry insurgency by ex-generals, security experts this morning. We also have UTME glitches, Obi Ezekwesili, worry over impacts of students and parents as well. We did talk about the mental impact of students and parents as well. And then we also have defections. We don't want Nigeria becoming a one-party state. Bandits attack, abduct Kogi monarch from palace. 2027 APC, PDP, Labour Party involved in anti-Tinubu coalition, article says. Pope Leo XIV invites Tinubu to inauguration in Rome. We're joined this morning by public affairs analyst Nelson Ekujimi. He's joining us this morning to review the papers. Good morning. Thank you very much for joining us.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
It's great to have you. So we have Nelson Ekujimi. Sorry for that. All right, just to get straight into the conversation about banditry, insurgency. We at the start of the show did talk about the inauguration of forest guards, that there are a number of people that will be employed to become forest guards. And I wanted to ask if you think this is a step in the right direction. Are you worried about the state of insecurity? Just a few minutes ago as well, we talked about the APC Ward 5 chairman who was kidnapped in Ondo State, and then they demanded for 100 million, negotiated down to 5 million and foodstuff. The two ransom bearers who went there were also now kidnapped, and now they're asking for 30 million for all three of them to be released. So are we dealing with insecurity with the sense of urgency that we ought to deal with it with?
Yes, I absolutely think as much as we are saddened about the security challenges confronting our nation, which didn't start today, we must make that very clear. It has been with us. And so long as human beings are on Mother Earth, people of evil minds who want to perpetrate their acts, it is for those with good intentions, those who want peace, love and harmony in any society, not to give up, not to surrender the battle. Looking at our security situation today, it's something that we are not happy about. But be that as it may, we need to put all our heads together. If we need to even call for foreign, assistance in terms of strategy, because the banditry, kidnapping, and what have you is assuming a dimension that is, alarming, that is unacceptable, in any society. So, as a Nigerian, I'm pained, I'm hurt that this is happening, and I'm looking at how we can overcome it. But most importantly, the collaboration, the support of the locals is very, very key, because it's a strong impediment, to curtailing banditry, kidnapping. I've had opportunity to sit with people in the rural areas, and people tell me that, look, we knew all these guys doing these things, but because we are not affected, so everybody stays on his lane, like we say in our.
So that means we really don't have the political will to fight insecurity.
Pardon?
So are you saying that the government of the day doesn't have the political will?
It's not the political will, it's the conspiracy, the local conspiracy. Because when banditry or kidnapping occurs in any environment, the people living in that environment know all these things. But how are they keen into the battle? Are they aware that they are part of the security architecture, that it is not the duty of the policeman or the military guys alone? Because the military guys or the policeman is a human being like you and I. He could be shot and killed. So if the security agencies, the operatives are not safe, if you are not bothered about their security, when the criminals, when the men of darkness, overcomes them, then you'll be the next target. So the collaboration, the support, whatever we need to get the people living in the grassroots, the non-kinetic engagement, we need to up the ante. So it's not only about kinetic approach. When people are ready to give information that, look, we have seen this in this environment, please, can you please come and act? And the security agencies are also doing their part. But most importantly, like we say, the right and the left must watch each other for the hands to be clean. So the locals, the people themselves need to recognize their critical, importance in this fight against insecurity.
Now, to the question of the forest guards that have just been appointed, how much difference do you think it will make, and is it a step in the right direction?
Oh, absolutely. It's been long overdue. If you recollect, I think it was in 2021 or 2022, if I'm right, when the Ooni of Ife raised an alarm that, and even some of the local, traditional rulers raised an alarm that our forests have been, taken over by bandits, and what have you. And if you remember also, the former governor of Ondo State, late Oluwarotimi Akeredolu, gave marching orders for people to vacate, illegal occupiers to vacate the forest. So if we have identified the security lacuna in our forests, and we are deploying this strategy to curtail it, I think it will go a long way in minimizing the security threats.
All right. There's a big story on the front page of the Punch newspaper that gives me great cause for concern. It's talking about inflation. Inflation surges above 30% in Abuja and 10 states. And in Benue, 51.8% food inflation amid persistent insecurity. So what is the implication of this for the nation at large? If Benue, the food basket of the nation, is dealing with food inflation at 51.8%, what becomes of the rest of the country?
Well, what becomes of the rest of the country, because we all recognize Benue State as the food basket, and if the people of Benue who produce our food cannot get food, accessible and affordable, then you can be rest assured that sooner or later it will get to all of us. So the security challenges in the Benue, in the plateau, is really having a great toll on our economy, inflation-wise, because ordinarily farmers are supposed to go to the farms. Elders are supposed to pasture their flock. But when people who produce what you need to stay alive are unable to exercise that function, definitely you are under threat. So it's something that is worrisome, that I want to believe strongly that those at the end of our affairs are not, they are not sleeping over it. They are thinking seriously. And
do you genuinely believe that?
I honestly believe, because
it feels like Nigerians don't feel that sense of urgency.
No, I don't know the Nigerians you are talking about, because I'm a Nigerian. So if you don't feel because you are not there, they have sworn on oath, they took up a responsibility to perform a job. And if there are challenges in that job, it is for us to ask questions. So it is not for us to just assume in a safe zone that they are not doing anything.
Okay,
no, how soon do we begin to expect results, like a turning around of the situation in Plateau and Benue?
Well, the governments in those two states, we have seen them take some steps. And in the last couple of days, it's like respite is coming. But we must not rest on our oars. I watched the governor of Plateau State. He made some comments, and those comments were very germane. You know, where the man said he's ready to tell the cameras to excuse a discussion with the local people. That look, you are the key to this problem. You are the one that can tell us this is the time these guys move. This is where they come from. Because our security architecture is such that it is not localized. When the security man comes, I'm a security expert, for example, or a security operative. I'm posted from Lagos to maybe Benue. I don't know anywhere in Benue, you know. So I'll be guided by what I see in the books and what I'm told. So if the people themselves key into this, gradually we'll get over it.
Okay. I wanted to pick up a story that is not yet in the paper. But let's take this call. We have a call from Ibafo. Good morning, Lawrence.
Hello.
We've lost the call with Lawrence. Okay, let's look at the front page of the Nigerian Tribune and have your reaction to the challenge with the JAMB, with the UTME. Professor Shakoloyede has come out to publicly apologize. Nigerians are calling for his not figurative head.
Some Nigerians, don't say Nigerians. Some Nigerians.
Well, a lot of Nigerians.
Don't say a lot. You didn't carry out a survey. I disagree.
Okay, so why
you say a number of Nigerians?
Okay,
because you don't have
is it fair to say a huge number of Nigerians? Judging from the criticism on social media.
It's not fair. If you say a number of Nigerians, because I, for example, I'm not calling for a sack.
Well,
because I know where JAMB was before the man came in. As much as I'm saddened, this morning leaving my house, I saw parents with their kids at the centers, just like they did some weeks back. So you can imagine that, that trauma. Even as a Nigerian, as somebody who is not involved, I feel the pains. Because whatever happens to our country affects every one of us. It tells on our image. Like there's a Japanese proverb that says, when you fall 7 times, you must be able to rise 8 times, And like Leshifa Obafemalo rightly said, it is not about a man not falling, but in the ability to rise after every fall. Life is about ups and downs. This thing, what has happened to JAMB with regards to the glitch, is regrettable. It's a sad reality on all of us. But that does not mean we should throw away the baby with the bathwater. We have a JAMB examination today, UTME examination, where the boy sitting next to me, even though we are writing the same English, my own number 1 question is maybe number 30. In the past, magic center, what do you call them, special centers were the order of the day. So if this has happened and JAMB has come out, we should all, commiserate with JAMB that thank you for telling us this truth, but please, when next you are conducting these exams, ensure that you have dotted your I's and you have crossed your T's, because right now, resources are being deployed again.
So are you confident that this remedial examinations that are taken, we won't have the same glitches and the same errors that happened in the first?
I have confidence in God, but I'm hopeful.
You have confidence in?
I have confidence in God.
Okay.
But I am very, very hopeful, because I saw the situation today, and I saw that JAMB has not lowered the standard. In the CBT centers where I passed through this morning, early in the morning I went out. I saw NSCDC security operatives. Parents were made to stay about 200 to 500 meters. You know what happens during my days? Even though our parents were not going to exam centers, the way parents go there in the morning and stay all through. But exam centers in those days were like a marketplace. But now there's order. So we have made tremendous progress. So we must not, overlook. Yes, we must not do that. It's not right.
When I'm talking about that, I just searched for Ishakoloyede on X. And the first few tweets that I saw, this is not my personal opinion. I reflect the opinion of the Nigerian people and what we see here. So the first few reactions you see are people criticizing him and saying that, that cry is not enough, because of course there's the talk about the young girl who has lost her life and the fact that this is the destiny of young Nigerians. Another body that has been implicated as a result of JAMB is INEC. In fact, people are saying that till today we never got, part of the response, because we have a segment called What Nigerians Are Saying, where we take tweets and x-ray the statements of Nigerians about certain issues. And they pointed fingers at INEC, saying that at least Professor Isha Koloride came out and took responsibility and apologized. And when is INEC going to come and apologize to Nigerians for the technical glitches that they said they had?
Look, I think you need to organize a program here where you educate your viewers about the rules and regulations governing elections. On election, go and look at our Electoral Act. It says a party agent will get a copy of result sheet. It is that result sheet that glitch, did it affect the result sheet that was given to party agents or the one that was given to security operatives?
So you genuinely believe that there weren't really issues with it?
There was no issue. People are just overflogging it because the court has even come out to tell you that the IREV is a very important. It's not a collation center.
But INEC overpromised and underdelivered. Like the
How did they overpromise?
They said IREV.
They said they were going to do
and there were beavers. I mean, not the beavers didn't deploy.
No, it's not the beavers. It's IREV.
The beavers. So many people couldn't verify.
Many people couldn't verify their identity there. This one happened at my polling center because I went to vote. There were people who they tried to verify their identity. The machine could not detect their identity. So there were lots of complaints about that. There were people who talked about the beavers itself being. I mean, there was a particular report of it printing out somebody's picture instead of showing numbers. So
please, I've been on election duties in this country since 1999. I have made my own little contribution in the midst of millions of Nigerians who want our elections to be better. And we have made progress. When you are talking about beavers is an equipment that can function or malfunction. At the end of the 2023 general elections, we did a survey of the functionality of the beavers. And we said the beavers function in 98% of the centers. The beavers is such that where INEC has done tremendously well, the beavers is such that beavers is configured for each polling unit with an alternative. A beavers machine assigned to polling unit 01, if you take it to polling unit 02, it will not work. Because the data of the voters in that polling unit is not on it. The ballot papers for polling unit 01, you can't take it to polling. All these anomalies that were with us in those days, we have eliminated.
So from what you're saying, is it that we don't need to reform the electoral system? INEC is working well, and we should proceed from the way they conducted 2023 elections to 2027?
As we sit here, the 2023 elections from days immemorial has been our best. I can say it authoritatively.
They always say June 12, 1993.
No, the equipment we used in 2023, we didn't use that. Option A4, you line up for your candidate or your party logo. But in this election, we had technological improvements. That is not to say that there are no challenges. For example, we have the issue of logistics. For example, also, on the day of election, on the day of the presidential election, in my polling units, the electoral officer brought his materials, we had set up, everybody was ready to vote. The first person went to the beavers, he couldn't authenticate him. Second person went there, he couldn't authenticate. We were spent close to an hour. We were wondering what was the problem. Before we realized that the beavers machine and other equipment brought to our polling units was for another polling unit. Okay. It was when we now did a change. Immediately everything started working.